What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. You guys, I just want to dance our entire intro, and I actually do, and I don't even know if Liv can see it, but I just sit here the entire time and be like...
I was doing that today. I was literally doing that right now.
Oh, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Chirping on Causeway, brought to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network. Give them a follow on Twitter and Instagram at BSEN_617. Give us a follow on both of the things at Causeway Chirps. Give me a follow. Hi, I'm Emily. And you can find me at HyperEmmy on whatever social media your little heart desires. And this is
Liv. And you can find me you can find me on Twitter at Trent Frederick. And
we're doing so great.
It's a Monday today, guys.
We're doing great. You guys, fun announcement from the podcast today. And then Liv has more fun announcements that are not pod related, but pod related all at the same time. So I'm going to do I'm just going to do mine first. We have hoodies!
Woo,
Yay! So if you like my t-shirt, because it's really cute, we now have this in a hoodie. So you can get it at our website. I will put the website in the comments so I don't mess it up. bsen617.spur.site. We've had t-shirts, but now we also have hoodies. So you can get those online and you can match us because we're really cute. But you can get those and rep the pod, man. Rep the pod. That's my fun, exciting announcement. You guys, this week has been absolutely crazy, and we have a jam-packed episode. We're going to do another fun announcement, and then we're going to talk PWHL today. We're going to talk about the Boston Fleet, because we went to last week, and we ran out of time. But we're going to talk about them today. We've got 4 nations face-off to cover. We've got 3 games to talk about, which were all wins.
Yeah.
We also have, magic us to talk about because this podcast makes weird things happen and we absolutely love it. And then we also were asked to talk about the coaching aspect of life. And do we really think it was Monty that was having an effect on the team, or what are our thoughts on it? So we'll also cover that, but we're going to start with story time with Liv.
So if you follow me on Twitter, you already saw. And I apologize, guys. I said this to Emily before we started. I'm going to be all over the place today because I am on a cloud 9 of just excitement, happiness.
Liv, are you okay if I share my screen and show the photo while you talk too so people can see it?
Absolutely.
Okay, you keep doing that. I'll get it prepped up.
I'll bring the little item here. If you can't see, it says to Liv with Trent Frederick's autograph on it, which is extremely awesome and just very kind, very nice. I can believe he did something like this because he's genuinely such an awesome person. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, so story time is I'm at practice minding my business with my friends, and it's going normal, going as a practice would. And it's the end, kind of. And I'm just sitting there minding my business, and I don't hear it, but
Mhm.
it called my name twice. So my friends are like tapping me, and they're like, he's calling you, like he wants you, he's calling you for something, like, and I'm like, who? Like, what? And I'm thinking, what is going, like, do I know someone here? Do I have a friend? Like something. And I look over, lo and behold, to the man himself, Trent Frederick. And I was like, and I just see like a stick being like waved over, towards the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, so I stand up and I'm like, me? And he's like, yeah. And but then I'm still looking because, like, there also the father that ended up passing me the stick had like a 4-month-old baby, and I was like, oh no, I'm feeling bad because I'm, not a little baby. So I was like, oh no, like, and so I didn't like squeeze through everyone. So he finally gave it to this dad, and he was like, can you please give it to the girl behind you? And he was like, yeah. So I get it passed over to me, yada, yada. Then he just goes about his day, keeps practicing like nothing happened. Meanwhile, you can obviously see my reaction because I just thought I was getting a stick, which I was like, awesome, thank you. And then
should I play the video where he says it?
yes.
It's okay. Did you really? Oh, thank you so much. Have a good one. What did he say?
He's gold.
Awesome. It's okay. Did you really? Oh, thank you.
If you guys can't hear, he says, I scored 2 goals with that stick.
So thank you to Trent Frederick, because this is honestly probably I told my mom, I was like, any Christmas present you got me, just return it, ship it back, because this is, I don't ever need another gift ever again. So,
well, and guys, the fun part about this story as well is, so Saturday during the game, I wasn't watching. I was working one of my other jobs, and we see, like, Liv and I are texting. I see the first period, so I see the first goal, and then I start work, right? And then my phone goes off, like, whatever it is, half an hour later, and he scores again. And I don't remember which one of us texted each other, but one of us was like, I think I texted you. I was like, Freddie, how do you watch? I'm not watching. What's happening right now? You guys, last week on the podcast, we like joked that Liv was manifesting this Trent hat trick because we are magic. Like, we randomly talk about stuff like this.
yeah.
And then within a few games, it's just been really weird coincidences that, like, whoever we're talking shit about, like, 2 games later or the night after, like, they end up scoring all over the place. Like, we've just had really weird coincidental things happen, so we think we're magic. So Liv and I are sitting there texting because we're like, he's just scored 2 goals. We just talked about him having a hat trick 4 days ago. So for me, like, as like your friend and co-host, like, I feel like this is extra special because we like manifested this almost hat trick. And you guys, the rest of the game, I'm like, every time a notification comes up, I'm texting Liv of like, what happened? So I think like that part of it is really funny, like, lore for us too. Like, we thought he was gonna get a hat trick the other day, and then that ends up being the stick that you end up getting from him, which I think is just really funny and cool.
Yeah. It's like, it was extra special because I was like, you don't want to keep this, or like, you don't want to, I know they put some of their things through the pro shop, like the authentic section. So I was like, you're just gonna give this to me? Like,
well, and especially like that game also gave them a 4-win back-to-back, like, title. I don't really know how to say that. Was their 4th back-to-back win. So you'd think like as a player, I know that this isn't like necessarily a big deal for them, but I'm just like a memento person. So like I would want to keep something like that. Or, like, maybe they have a puck or something. I don't know. But like that, I feel like that's so cool for him to just like be like,
yeah, it was crazy. So I don't know when and obviously, like, I've been lucky enough to meet him a handful of times in the past. So he like knows knows who I am in the sense of
Yeah.
like he can recognize me. You know what I mean? So I'm very curious as to at what point in the practice he was like, "Here, let me make her go nuts right now." And give her.
Well, and it wasn't like at the like he's not walking off the ice. Like
No, it was like they were done. Like they had
Yes.
stretched, but they usually tend to stay on for like 15, 20 minutes, just usually shooting.
yeah, like cooling down.
You
Like
wouldn't know with all the
Yes.
shots they don't take, but
yes.
so they were just like some could like you can get off at that point kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I thought he was just done for the day.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, "No, he's probably just getting water." And then literally the next conversation we were having was, "Oh my God, like what the heck just happened?"
Yeah.
So it was I still have no words. I told my mom earlier, I'm probably going to wake up tomorrow and be like, "Psh, yeah, right, this didn't happen." And then I'm going to have to like look at everything. But yeah, it was really special. And I don't know. I know some people are probably like, "It's just a stick. Why is it special?" I don't know, man. It just is. Okay. Like,
I think there's something to be said for these guys that make crap tons of money, right? They have one focus for 8 months of the year, and that is getting through these 82 games in the hope of hosting a trophy over their head at the end of it.
Mm.
And then these guys, and maybe it's just the Boston of it all, like we have a different culture, but these guys also care so much about the people that are supporting them. Like, I think everybody knows that Liv is like one of Freddie's biggest fans. And like, I think it's so cool that these guys who make crap tons of money, whether or not they pay attention to their fans, take the time to do little things like this.
Yeah.
And I think you see it across the board, especially with our team. It's just part of our culture. And I know, of course, there are other teams that like their stars
right.
this as well. But I think it's so cool that these guys who do not have to pay attention to their fans, they're going to win games or lose games or get ice time or be traded up or down or get a contract extension or get cut from the team, no matter what. Nothing with the fans plays any effect into that. But they take the time to do these little things, like giving somebody who they know is a fan a stick, and like taking the extra 2 minutes to also make sure like it got to you because you were specifically who it was aimed towards, instead of being like, okay, give this stick to her kid. Like,
right.
There's something really special about that to me, of like, these guys don't need to have the fans, right? There are players that nobody likes.
Right.
I think Jacob Trouba, for example, is
Ryan
like,
Lundberg, but people do like him.
Yeah. I like maybe not Trouba's gameplay, but I like what he does off the ice.
Right.
But like, there are these guys that people love to hate, rightfully or wrongfully so, whatever. They get contract extensions, they get huge buckets of money, and it doesn't matter. So like, I think it's really cool. Yeah. I think it's really cool when these guys do take the time to do this stuff.
It's really very thoughtful. Very, very thoughtful. So, and
I'm just convinced he's a sweet little nugget. So
yeah, you know what? He was raised right. That's like he's such a kind person. So I can't. I mean, I talk highly about him all the time, but if I could do it more, I would, because he was.
We will have a little Trent section every single week.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Usually it's not intentional, but here we are.
I mean, listen, you've talked about Maroon every single week for the past however many weeks by accident. So whatever.
And on that note, bring Maroon back. No, but
bring Maroon back.
I also got to meet one of our viewers, which I was telling Emily a little bit about.
I'm still not convinced we have viewers. So
I was like, literally my answer was, it's still new. Like it's still out there right now, Liv, in case you weren't if you weren't sure. But But so shout out to Jim. He was very nice. He was at practice, obviously, so saw the whole stick thing go down. And then he was talking to me for like a little bit after, and he was very nice. So if Jim happens to be watching right now, hello. It was very nice to meet you. Thank you for chatting with me. And yeah, it was just really cool to meet someone that's actually watching our stuff, because sometimes it just feels like, you know, I'm on FaceTime with Emily and we're just shooting the shit back and forth like we usually do.
Yes.
So for people to watch someone I didn't know to then meet and them to tell me that they're watching our show, it's like pretty cool. So
guys, feel free to drop in the comments how many episodes you've been on with us. Like, if it's your first episode, let us know. Say hi. Drop it in the chat. Like, feel free to talk to us
in the comments. Like, you know what? And if you want us to touch on certain topics or questions, you could be like, what's that game? Just quick questions.
Yeah.
Hey, answer them wicked quick. That could get me in trouble, but
otherwise we're just gonna like FaceTime with an audience.
Yeah, basically. So let us know. Be active in the comments.
But thanks, Jim, for watching. Shout out, Jim.
Nice to meet you, Jim.
That's great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Where do we want to go first? Do you want to go Four Nations or do you want to go PWHL?
You want to do Four Nations first, because I feel like we could touch on it like briefly, and then we can do PWHL. Yeah.
So we did talk about it a little bit last week, so let's circle back to that. But Four Nations face-off rosters came out last Wednesday. Finland and Sweden came out in the afternoon, and then USA and Canada came out right before the Blackhawks game. Mm-hmm. TNT got the honor of announcing it, which, if you know how I feel about TNT, I didn't really love the commentary around it.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We're not going to chat about that. We can chat about that another day. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter for that conversation.
True.
Because I have thoughts, feelings, and opinions, but it's okay. So Four Nations were announced last week. If you're not familiar, Finland, Sweden, USA, Canada are all going to have like a mini World Cup over 2 days. Prelims take place in Montreal. I don't know if they're called prelims, whatever they're called. Prelims happening in Montreal. The finals will happen in Boston, so it's kind of split between the two places. Everybody has a different opinion on who's going to be winning because the rosters are stacked, especially USA and Canada.
They're pretty insane. Yeah.
They're absolutely insane. Feel free to look back at our Twitter. We reposted them last Wednesday. But we have 4 Bruins that have made the cut. Yeah. We had one additional Bruin that we thought Hampus Lindholm was potentially going to make the roster.
Right.
I think with his injury and just everything going on, like, people have speculated a lot of different reasons as to why he didn't make it. There's no concrete proof one way or another. Right. But I just think realistically, like, with that injury, it's just
injury wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw some discourse online about it, and I'm like, I think if he was completely healthy, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, and he'd be on the roster. But people want to now try and make like excuses or like different reasons, but
because other injured players are currently on those lists, or people who are on LTIR or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, personally, and I say this with so much love, like, I'm glad he didn't make the roster, because from like a fan, how do I explain this? I am always somebody that is like, I want the players to put themselves first. Yeah. I want them to stop when they are hurting. Like, there's some news today that Pasta might be out tomorrow for an injury. Great. He needs to take care of his body. Like, these guys are people first, and this is just their job. Like, none of you want to hear that. You all have opposite opinions, fully aware. Yeah. However, I will always be an advocate for the player safety and health first. So from that perspective, I'm glad he's not trying to push himself to be in this tournament, especially with the season now turning up the way it is, and with the Olympics next year, and pro players being allowed this time in the Olympics. Yeah. Like, there is so much more to it than just playing in a 2-day tournament.
Right.
And I know representing your country is really special.
Yeah.
But like the Olympics are also next year and pros can be in it this year.
Yeah.
Personally.
And I feel like, you know, maybe everyone obviously will have their own opinion on this too.
Yeah.
But from my own personal standpoint, I feel as if that tournament and the Olympics would be equal, or I would view the Olympics higher.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah. And I think also when you were saying like about the rosters, I heard an interview with, I don't want to butcher his last name, but his name is Bill Guerin, and he's the GM for Minnesota Wild, I'm pretty sure. And so I think he is like also the GM
for Team USA.
Right. Okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't incorrect on that, but he was interviewed and they asked him about his decision on whether or not to pick injured people for the roster still. And their approach maybe was different from Sweden because they weren't afraid to pick people who are injured right now with just the hope that they'll be by then. Whereas I kind of like how Sweden did it more so because then they know they have their people. Whereas if something, you know, goes poorly or something, US is going to not be scrambling. I mean, they have options to, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it makes the gelling effect a little different, the bonding. So I don't know.
Well, and then like they have mobility with these rosters as well. I don't remember if it was Sweeney who said it or Guerin who said it. One of them said it on TNT Wednesday night, though, is like if somebody gets injured, they do have, Sweeney might have said it. So for those who don't know, Sweeney is also the GM for Team Canada. If somebody does get injured, they have like a list of reserves essentially who are aware that they can get pulled up. In Sweeney's opinion, if he was, whoever said it, they weren't going to tell them like that night that they were on the reserves list. They were going to give them a few days. But they do have a list of reserves as well that they are not releasing to the public, but those guys are aware that they do have an opportunity if something changes over the next 2 months. Like we have 2 months until this happens. But we do have 4 Bruins that are playing. So we knew over the summer that Marchand would be playing for Canada. McAvoy would be playing for USA. Swayman is going to be the third goalie for USA, so he potentially might not see a lot of ice time, just given the stats. Ottinger is the other goalie, and
I forget the other one.
I gotta look it up. I forgot too. It was just on my brain.
Sorry.
Sorry, brain. I'll look it up. But Elias Lindholm was the 4th Bruin who will be playing for Sweden. I don't think there were any other like big surprises for me at least. Like, roster wise from the Bruins at least. I can never say his name. Connor Hellbjerg. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was Canadian for some reason.
Nope, the Canadians are Aiden Hill, which more lore about me. I love Aiden Hill. He was on the Tucson Roadrunners when I lived in Arizona, and that's
a good guy too.
Yes, I sat right behind the goal every single game. So like the first season, it was 2016 was my first year there, and it was their first year in Tucson. And that was the year he went up and down between the NHL, the AHL, and the ECHL. So personally, for me, just being like a longtime fan of Aiden Hill, it's really cool to see that progression over the last 8 years of 9 years. Somebody that like had some struggles that year of going up and down between ECHL and NHL and AHL, to now being like a full-time NHL goalie, to also being like chosen as a goalie for this really prestigious event.
Yeah.
I think it's just really cool.
I agree. I think that's awesome when there's certain players that you can kind of watch develop, and then they now we're just like, you knew they were incredible, and now everyone else gets to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's so good. And you're like,
cool.
I knew that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
the other Team Canada thing that I think is going to be really funny, I said this on Twitter, is the 2 Panthers players that made Team Canada with Brad Marchand.
oh, I didn't even do that. Honestly, maybe they'll really bond and then just do really well on the ice, you know?
Well, it's Reinhart and Bennett.
Oh. Never mind.
These are all left wingers, so they're not going to be on the ice at the same time. But
not too familiar with the rosters, guys. Okay, I'm sorry.
Personally, for me, couldn't pay me to be on a team after what happened in playoffs. I mean, you probably could. I know that this is like, that's an exaggeration. You could probably pay me lots of bucks. Right. But like, after everything that happened in the playoffs with Bennett,
I think I'd have to do silent treatment, actually. You like how I just 180'd there really quickly?
I couldn't do it. I don't know. Maybe they'll all get over it. But personally, like, shit went down.
Yeah.
Tell me if you agree or disagree. Feel free to disagree with that one. But
let us know. What do you think?
Were there any big shocks that had like originally stood out to you when you looked?
Couldn't believe that Trent Frederick wasn't on the roster, personally. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have laughed, but I mean, I was just
heartbroken
that he didn't make it on there.
That's so funny.
Like 25% of me is serious when I say that, because I want him to make everything everyone else does, because I'm like, give him that, please. But no, nothing real. Honestly, hot take. I was almost like bored in a sense, because everything was like, yeah, no, duh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which, again, people are going to say, obviously, Liv, duh, Liv. They're the star players of the NHL. No, I know, okay? I'm aware. However, I would have just liked a few little underdogs tossed in there. Trent Frederick. But, you know, other than that, I think everything was good.
And it's so interesting to see, like, each team truly had a different strategy when picking their players. Like, I feel like, in my personal uneducated opinion, because I obviously do not know all the players that are on this roster, but I feel like Canada has just a lot of stars. Like,
big names, people you know.
Yes. Not that the rest of the rosters aren't star-studded, but, like, they have just about every single Canadian star you could think of. As opposed to, like, USA, yes, has stars as well, but it feels like slightly more strategic. Like, they may not be number one. It might be, like, 2 through 4. But, like, there also might be a 5, 6, 7 mixed in there as well. Right. It feels a little bit more strategic. I mean, as much as we love Sway, I honestly was not expecting him to make the roster.
Especially with the beginning of the season. I was like, no way. Like, I'm not mad about it, but like, you know, I'm just like, and that's that.
Who do you want? I know unrealistically who I want the finals to be. Who do you want the finals to be? The finals get played in Boston.
Sweden and USA.
Sweden and USA? I think that'd be cool.
I'm partial because I'm like half Swedish, so I'm partial because I just like to see Sweden play. Literally just because I'm Swedish and I think it's neat. But they have some tea, like some drama. But also I think Sweden and Finland would go insane for the drama too.
I think just like like for the memes, it would
Yeah.
be really funny if it was Finland, Sweden.
Yeah,
Just because everybody is hyping up USA, Canada so much.
that's true
I think
too.
it'd be really funny to see, like, not like funny, haha, but like, I don't know, ironic because everybody's kind of like counting that
Yes.
the final out. So I think that'd be really cool to see. For my own like selfishness, I want it to be Canada and USA. I
But
just think it'd be funny.
if it happens to be Finland and Sweden, you heard it here first yet again. So
Finland and Sweden. We're gonna
root for you.
bookmark that one too.
Yep, and then we'll hope that
You guys are gonna be so sick of our predictions.
not unless they're all right. You know what? And if we win the cup, no, I'm kidding. I'm so kidding on that one. Cut that one out. What does Joey on Full House do? He goes, cut that out. That one, forget I said that one.
You guys, I had a really stressful day, and Liv had a really great day. So we have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, no, this is a we like to call it "Go with the Flow" podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
this
funny.
will, yeah.
I
We're
think
getting
42 is gonna be fun.
Yeah. And
great.
however, I won't like the break because I hate when there's a break. And usually I know it's the All-Star weekend, but
I really like All-Star Weekend.
I do too. Yeah.
I think All-Stars is really cool. I got to go to AHL All-Stars when it was in Springfield in would have been 2019.
Nice.
And that was really cool. And we're planning on going to All-Stars in 2026.
Where is it
Because
again?
it's in Long Island.
Say it
It'll
again.
be on Long Island. It'll be at USB. UBS,
Okay.
whatever it is.
All
But
right.
that's where like a crap ton of my friends are.
nice.
Yeah, like all of my friends from college for the most part live on Long Island. So we're gonna go do that because I don't think there's All Stars next year because of the Olympics. So I think it's 2026.
Right.
Whenever the next one is on Long Island, I'll be
So
there.
sorry. I sneezed. So
I'll see.
sorry. Thank you.
I'll be there. Somebody
Yeah.
hit me up.
I went to the All-Star weekend in 2015 when it was in Columbus, Ohio.
Really?
Right. Yeah.
That's so fun.
And I got to meet Johnny Gaudreau then. And so I'll always be like, that is awesome now. So
Yeah.
it was a great time. We got like snowed in though. We were trapped in Ohio.
I believe that.
It was a big blizzard everywhere. So like my school was like canceled. This story doesn't matter. But basically I went to All-Star. I went to All-Star weekend in 2015. I was 14 at the time, so I had a blast. I was like kind of in between like, am I a kid still? Or and since I was just with my mommy, I got to like have fun and be a kid and stuff. So not a kid literally, but I had fun. It was
That's
like I
fun.
had no worries in the world. You know,
I was 22 with one of my friends that I had like lived near in Arizona, and she had moved to Boston, and so I came up for it. And we were drunk the entire weekend. It was great.
Hey, that's always good with friends sometimes, you know?
It was the best.
Tender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. It's funny. On that note, PWHL.
Yes.
So this is the second year that we have the PWHL, which is great. There are 6 teams. If you're not familiar, this is the Professional Women's Hockey League. This is their second year. So the previous, I forget what it was even called. I can't think of what it was called. The previous women's league, which wasn't even like one league. It was like individual leagues kind of all over the place. It was very scattered. Were dissolved. PWHL was created last year with 6 teams. Boston got one of them. This August, they just got named, or September, they just got named, and Boston's is the Boston Fleet.
I found it. It was the Premier Hockey Federation. It was the PHF.
Yes, that is what it is.
I had to Google it because it was going to bug me.
Yes.
And they have names this year.
They have names this year, which is really exciting. Instead of last year, it was just like PWHL Boston. This year we have the Boston Fleet. This year they're going to have 90 games total for the league's season.
Wow.
Each team will have 30 games. Excuse me, as opposed to last year, they had like a little preseason. Each team, I read online that it was 6 games for the regular season, and then they went into playoffs, but I feel like we had more than that.
I do feel like we had more, but at the same time, I do feel like the season went by very quickly.
Yeah.
But 6 feels wrong. Like,
yes.
Yeah. But we get more this year.
30 this year.
Yeah.
So
that's
if you guys know me, I'm a really big fan of women's sports in general. I post about women's sports all the time. I think this is really cool. I think the other really cool thing that we can talk about with PWHL is the players and teams just got added to Chell, which I think is so insane. So now when you play NHL 25, you can play as a PWHL player. I think this is so important for young girls and young boys to be able to see this. Like, I think this is so freaking cool that they are now in this video game.
Because, like, how cool is it? Like, okay, here, I'm going to get all sappy, but how cool is it that all these, all us girls, we grew up having favorite hockey players that were always guys. Always. I mean, I know, obviously, women's hockey players were out there, were a thing. It wasn't broadcasted and formed the way it is now. So how cool is it that little boys can have favorite women players? Because why can't they? Why would that be wrong? Why would that make them any less of anything if they have a favorite woman?
Yes. And I grew up in like the soccer era, like women's Team USA women's soccer was really big when I was growing up. And Mia Hamm was like,
oh my gosh, yes.
She was it. She was it. And women's volleyball was really big, like at Olympics.
Yeah.
But like I grew up in like a soccer hockey household, and maybe that's why like Mia Hamm always is like the one that really like sticks out to me. Otherwise, I think of like Alex Morgan as well, was like right after. Like
for me, it was Abby Wambach. Because that game where she got her head split open, she laid there, let them staple her head, and she said, and I'm up, and I'm ready to keep playing. I thought that was so badass.
That entire, like, group, like, that entire, like, late 2000s, early 2010s, like, era of, like, Team USA women's soccer, I feel like most girls that are like between your age and my age, like they all have one female soccer player that they're like,
mine.
Her.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like we're in this era where, yes, that's happening more with women's sports across the board. I think you're seeing it with the WNBA, with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and all these girls that are like coming up from this social media era that came out of COVID. But I think hockey especially needs this because it is like so stereotypically a boys' sport. Like, I think you see it as well with rugby, with Alona. Like,
oh my gosh, don't get me started on Alona.
I think we're in this era of like de-stereotyping these sports. And I think it is absolutely so super amazing, incredible, groundbreaking, glass ceiling breaking that this is happening with hockey and women's hockey right now.
Yeah. And guys want to say like this and that and the next thing, but why? I just
probably because they couldn't play as Taylor Heisey on Chell when they were little. I'm jealous. Because I'm jealous.
No, honestly.
I get it.
I think I just love, I don't know. I love the PWHL because I need to
They
get to
look at Erin Franklin's save percentage and they go, why can't I do that?
She's better than me. Dang it. Like, yeah, no,
She's
duh.
Better
She's
than
way
some people
better.
in the NHL right now. So
And say it louder for the people in the back. And say it louder.
she has a better save percentage than Jeremy Swayman last time I checked.
Oh.
Granted, they're only 3 games into the season.
I don't care.
But
take his first 3 games and take her first 3 games. Probably still going to be the same stat or whatever.
I have thoughts, feelings, and opinions about women's sports, and I will not be silenced.
This is why we
Now I'll be
this
silenced. So you can say something, though. That's great.
Yeah, right. Were you silent? What is that? Were you silent or were you silenced?
Silenced. You guys, I will never be silent. Don't worry.
No.
But Boston Fleet, not great, not terrible. We're only 3 games into the season.
Yeah.
We have only won 1 so far out of our 3 games.
Yep. They'll get there. They're doing.
We lost the first 2. We won the third. We're getting into the swing of things. I think one thing potentially to talk about is the hit that happened last Wednesday.
Yep. Bring it up.
I wasn't watching because I was watching the Blackhawks game or the Troy game. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I was watching the Bruins play. But Kelsey was tweeting. What's Kelsey's at? Kelsey Durham.
Okay.
Was tweeting because I think she was at the game. And if you don't follow Kelsey, you should, because she has been keeping everybody very well updated about PWHL. I'm going to put her Twitter. I'm going to drop her Twitter. If you guys want more information on PWHL, I highly, highly recommend following Kelsey. She has been so great with staying up to date with, like, there's rule changes that are happening and roster changes and everything like that. While the rest of us have been focusing on the Bruins, she has been really focused on the Fleet. She has her own podcast, but I highly recommend following her to stay updated on the Fleet. She's really great about it. But she was tweeting about the game and was tweeting something about this hit that happened where one of the Frost players hit one of our players. She went down, and she went down good. Originally, it was ruled a 5-minute major. After review, was lowered to a 2-minute minor. And Maggie Flattery is the Frost player that hit Alina Mueller from the Fleet. And she's now suspended for 2 games, which probably occurred over the weekend. Suspension's probably over now, or she has 1 more game. But I think the video of the hit was insane.
Yeah. And like I'm all for, like, I saw a tweet about it too, and it's like I'm all for letting the girls play, letting them hit, but I'm also glad to see that they're at least having consequences at like the same way that the NHL would have consequences, because clearly, and it should be noted, she hit one of our, not to call her a top player because that feels mean to everyone else, but one of our well-known players, even, I'll put it that way.
Yes.
She hit her, so it's
not a rookie, it's not somebody fresh out, like,
seems very targeted a little bit, which I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean, obviously, you want to get the big targets out or whatever, but I just think it was a little messy. Like, I'm all for them being able to hit each other. I'm all for that. Let them fight. Why not? Let them do that.
Was one of the things I hated growing up was the disparity between women's and men's sports, specifically on contact. Yes. I think there was a time period as well where like soccer was like that as well, where they would call girls left and right for like contact in soccer, but like boys can push each other and shove each other. And that was one thing I always hated about women's sports. And there was a time where I would outright say that I disliked women's sports for that reason. Yeah. Whereas I think like it's gotten better now. Like there are still stricter rules, but let them rough each other up the same way the boys do. They can take it. They wouldn't play hockey if they weren't expecting pucks and fists to come at their faces because they all grew up playing with the boys and now they're on a girls' team.
And I'm also curious if they'll ever be able to, which I doubt it, because I feel like usually you add pads and add protection, but I wonder if they'll ever let the girls wear just visors instead of having to wear just the masks or like the bowls, like the clear ones.
Yes.
Because
and I wonder like what the reasoning is between the rule disparity.
Because I get it in college. In college, everyone has to wear the cage or the clear, bowl one. But then you get to the NHL and you can wear a visor. So it's the PWHL. So why can't they wear a visor? I would want to wear a visor. I'd be like, get me out of this cage full face crap. Yeah. And if I get something in the mouth, I get something in the mouth. That's why I get a mouth guard in. Okay. So I would want a visor for sure. I feel like. So I'm curious about that.
Equality.
Yeah. Someone clip that, please. Just equality. It's a new meme. Yep.
Okay, I'll be a meme. Equality.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool. But I think expanding to 30 games, I feel like is going to be a lot different for these players this year.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be really good. And they're doing this thing, they did it last year as well, where some of the games are also played in different markets as well. The PWHL has already stated that they're looking to expand within the next few years. They want 2 more cities for sure. So they've started accepting bids for 2 more cities to expand to. But they do like a little bit of a tour as well, since there's only 6 teams, where they do bring these teams to different markets throughout the year as well.
Yeah.
Which I think that's really cool.
I like how they're going about all this. I like how they're doing this league and everything.
And I feel like they took feedback. Maybe not all of our feedback. They took some feedback. I feel like even this year we've already seen some feedback about being able to see it on YouTube. There was a little bit of like last year, all of the games were available for free on YouTube. I personally love that. I think if you're trying to grow the game, abso-freaking-lutely give me an easy and free way to watch the game, because I already have too many streaming services.
Yeah.
I'm out of market for every single NHL team, so I can watch them all on ESPN+. But for somebody who's in market, you get blacked out half of these games.
Right.
Really annoying. So I think that is really great. But there was some discourse earlier this season, about whether or not you're going to be able to watch on YouTube. In Canada, I'm pretty sure you cannot, but everywhere else you can watch free on YouTube. But originally it wasn't going to be that way, I guess. So I think this league has been relatively good about accepting feedback and trying to make it a fan's game. I'm just really excited for the growth that we're already seeing this season.
Yeah.
And what comes next. Yeah.
What's the word I'm trying to look for? I can't think of it, but it's like good. It's not that's not the word I wanted. Not empowering. What is the word? It's hopeful. Like it's hopeful.
Yes.
That's also not the word I'm looking for, but I'm trying to think of a synonym now. And it's just finally, it took long enough to finally get something like this, but it just makes me very happy for all the girls to come. like my daughters and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm lucky enough to have kids one day, and they're
Yes.
girls,
Yes.
it's awesome. So
It's going to be amazing. It gives me hope for the future, like in and out of sports, because I feel like most networks as well that have like discussed this have discussed it very positively.
yes,
As opposed to in the past, the PHF, the previous women's league, was not always talked about in a positive light. And a lot of that just comes from there were a lot of owner issues, a lot of people trying to leave the league and be in the league, but not be in the league or have their own league. There was like just constant chaos all the time. But I feel like ever since last year with the PWHL, there has been a lot of people that have really jumped on it and supported it.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really great that it'll continue to grow.
Yeah.
Now, if we could get the Boston Fleet to play a little bit closer in Boston.
Yeah, now that would be nice.
Instead of all the way out in Lowell, then it would be better. But
I love how Minnesota, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but I'm pretty sure that Minnesota, at least last year, they played at the same one.
Yeah, they play at XL Energy.
Because I love that. I've been once, but I love that place.
It's so cool.
I loved it. I just, I'm partial though, because I loved Minnesota. Again, I've been there once.
Yeah.
However, it was the middle of March and it was like -10. So I think for me to come out of that and still be saying like, I loved it, I want to go back.
Yeah.
I think, I can say that. But
it's really easy to get to though. Like that arena is really easy to get to, which I always liked.
Yeah. It was wicked close. My mom and I stayed wicked close. Like hotel, but even just the highway, we were like, this highway feels familiar.
It's literally like
wicked easy. Yeah. So if anyone can get to XL Energy Center, it's a center, right? Like it's called Center. Get there. Let me tell you, they had some great pizza too.
They do. They also had they have this one booth that's like or at least this was like maybe 3-4 years ago. They tried to do like local like beers and stuff, which I think is cool. You don't always see that at these big like arenas. Yeah. But they had like a lot of local offerings.
I like that. See, Boston should, like, the Garden should do that because there's so many around that they could like do.
Yeah.
But
no, I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last few games. Because it's been insane.
They've been good. I'll take the dubs.
We recorded last Monday. We've had 3 games since then. And do you want to know? What, Liv? You want to know what?
What is it?
We won them.
No way.
I don't know how.
How did we get here?
But we won 3 games, which we had won Sundays as well. So now we're 4 back-to-back wins. 2 of them were in overtime.
Yeah.
And we have goals in the third period.
In the third period. What is that? And
is this the apocalypse? Is the world dying? Like
it might be. We should be careful now. What's happening?
We're gonna lose now. Tomorrow, it's fine.
I know. It is Winnipeg though, so if we do lose, whatever.
But I think they weren't terrible games either.
I had fun.
So let's go Detroit. We played Detroit at home last Tuesday. Is that Tuesday? Yeah, that was Tuesday. That's weird. Yep. We won 3-2 in overtime. First period, Red Wings started it off. Then Zadorov scored. There was nothing in the second period. Third period, we had Lucas Raymond, who had scored the first goal for the Red Wings, scored a second goal. Then Braz comes out of nowhere, scores a goal. And then Zaka gets the overtime game-winning goal.
Where is he up here? There he is.
We love it.
Third row, middle.
We had 35 shots on goal for Boston, 25 for Detroit,
which is great.
40 hits for Boston.
Which, actually, let me touch on this, okay? Because people want to say that Trent doesn't hit anymore. Pretty sure he had 7 that game. And he had, 7 the other night. He's still being physical, guys, all right? Let's,
that to me is insane.
I'm going to fact check myself right now. But I know he's been up there in hits lately. He had 8! He had 8 that game! I'm sorry. But, I mean...
Sign me up.
8? Come on now.
Marshy had an assist.
Yep.
Pasta had an assist.
Our leaders are...
Reddy had an assist. Mason had an assist.
Mason with the assist. He's in Assistville right now.
Yeah.
He's passing them over, thankfully.
I love it. The next night, we went to Chicago.
Yes.
To see the Chicago Bruins. I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks, because there are 6 former Bruins
that was good.
on this team.
Yeah.
One of them being our sweet Maroon, who I said on Twitter, this tweet got so much love, and I find it so funny because it was just a throwaway comment for me. And this is probably one of my most liked tweets lately. It's always I was okay, so we're gonna kidnap him and bring him home after the game or something.
Yes.
And y'all jumped on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was good because you know what? So many people are please let us do that.
Yes. But we won against the Blackhawks 4-2. The first period, Blackhawks started off quick. 1:23 in, they scored. Geeky scored. This is after the discourse with him and Brett, which I highly encourage you guys to go listen to Brett's podcast. Only Bruins? Is that Brett's podcast?
Only Bruins. Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to double check this. But if you saw any of that shenanigans occurring on Twitter, I highly encourage you to go listen to Brett's podcast because his point of view is so great on that situation, the one that they released last week. 100% go listen to it. Absolutely.
And I'll hype up Bobby Brewski. You can find him on Twitter. Bobby's Corner. I'm pretty sure they call it Bobby's Corner. If I'm messing that up, I'm so sorry, Bobby. But he never misses. I mean, I can't even hype that man up enough. He's on there on that same podcast, and he always has a good chunk of time, and great guy. Great hockey mind. Great stuff. Very knowledgeable.
And Boosie. I feel like we can't leave out Boosie.
Of course.
Boosie, yes. All 3 of them were great. I personally love listening to that podcast. I think they're great. It's really funny. They all have really different personalities. So it's really fun to listen to. But Brett basically tweeted something about Geeky needs to step up. Geeky clapped back at him, said, "Tell me how you really feel." And everybody jumped down Brett's throat, which I think was totally just ridiculous. Y'all have said worse things. Morgan Geeky just hasn't seen it and told you to hush. And then Geeky gets 2 goals 2 days later. So whatever.
Which, thank you, Brett, I guess. You know what? Get him going. Brett. But yeah.
Maybe it's just Bruin podcasts in general have magic.
Yeah. Because they've had some good stuff in the past, I feel like, too, that have happened, or they've just had other things that, I like that podcast, though.
Listen, every once in a while, these boys need a little, get your stuff together.
Tough love. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the game. So, Geeky tied us up before the first ended. My sweet Brad Marchand had 2 goals in the second. The Blackhawks had 1, so we ended that period 3-2. And then Geeky had a second goal at the end. Not at the end, 5 minutes into the third, which sealed the deal for a 4-2 win.
Ooh.
We only had 12 hits, and we only had Nope, just kidding. That's Chicago. We had 22 hits and we had 27 shots on goal. We only had 4 penalty minutes, which I think is key. We had 62.5% face-off wins.
Oh, that's big for us too. That's big for us.
Insane.
Yeah.
But I think that game was really good. Maroon did get a penalty. We almost had a Zadorov Maroon fight.
Oh, the thing, I would pay for that to happen in April.
I was ready.
Yeah.
And then it didn't happen, and I was sad.
It needs to happen.
But that was a really good game. They were really physical, despite only having 20-something hits. I've already moved on to the next game. Sorry, guys. But they were really physical. I feel like an almost hattie for Archie and an almost hattie for Geeky. I feel, and especially in an away game against the Blackhawks, who half of those guys, not half, a third of those guys know Bruins hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Bedard, who just wants it. Kid wants it.
And he's had a tough season so far too. So he's more like he's wicked into which people back to Four Nations low key, just with the mention of Connor Bedard. People were very upset and very like surprised that not everyone obviously, but there was a handful of people that were upset he didn't make the team. So much so that they like asked him about it in media at some point, but also he's 19.
Before the game, they asked him about it.
Before the game, I didn't even realize
it was before the game. Yeah, and his like he did one of the pregame interviews before they started, and they asked him like, "Oh, you're not on the roster. Like, how do you feel?" Essentially, and he was like, "It means I need to work harder."
Right. I will say that about him. Kid wants to work. He wants to get better. He wants to, I don't know. He has high expectations for himself. I'll give him that. I'll never be a Bedard hater. I'll always be a Bedard empathizer because I feel like people are either too kind or too nice. I mean, too kind or too mean to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just like, he's in a tough situation, social media wise. I just feel bad for this kid for some reason.
Yeah.
But he's young,
sure.
so I wasn't surprised that he didn't make the roster.
That's my thing too, is I think like there's not a lot of rookies on these rosters, which I think makes sense. Like,
right. I didn't hate the rosters. Like I said, I was kind of bored only because I expected more or less everyone that made the rosters to make the rosters. So,
sure.
Yeah.
On Saturday, we had a matinee game against the Flyers.
Iffy on those matinees, but.
And we won in overtime 4-3. I only watched the first period. But a lot of things happened during this game.
Yeah.
We ended the first period with no goals, 2-0.
Yep.
Flyers.
Yep.
5 minutes into the second period, Trent scores on a power play. Give me the second power play unit anytime. We'll talk about that here in a second. But then Flyers score again, so we end the second 3-1. Third period, we got a Trent goal. We got a Marchand goal, and we end it tied. Overtime, we have another Zaka goal.
Yep.
He, if you didn't remember from 10 minutes ago, also got the game-winning overtime goal against Detroit. He is on fire. Let's see. 31 shots on goal, 33 hits. 8 penalty minutes versus Philadelphia Flyers had 16 penalty minutes. Yep. And, of course, their coach had something to say about it because he always does. Because he can't just – which I didn't watch the game. So were we diving that bad? Or was he just having his usual torts opinion about everything? Yeah,
he was just having his correct me if I'm wrong, but no. Like I feel like we're not big divers. We don't really do that. Like, so no, I had no clue what he was talking about. I feel like he
Chris
likes
always has something to say.
right, and it's usually the opposite of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I'll say he's a hoot. I do think he's funny. Sometimes I like him, but after that game, I didn't. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like he's just one of those coaches, though, that you either love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
I think he's really funny because he ends up being a meme every week, but like,
that's the thing. He just doesn't care. He's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say what I want to say. And
Yeah.
I will say though, when I was growing up, I played soccer like from the time I was 3 up until COVID, actually.
Yeah.
Like I was on club and all these different teams. I liked coaches like that would just
Yes.
kind of yell at us, sound insane, but they were also really nice and they'd give you your praise when you deserved it.
Yes.
So I think I'm biased too because I like hard coaches. Sometimes he overdoes it for sure, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you would think they'd be a better team in a sense because sometimes a coach like that does work out. It's what you need.
Mhm.
I just feel like, I don't know.
Well, and they're 12-11-4.
Yeah.
I think as of today, they're 12-11-4.
Not bad.
Not bad, but for a coach who talks a lot of smack.
Right. Which I wonder if it's the roster or if the players don't receive him. Obviously, probably 100% of them don't receive him that well, but who cares though? It's Philadelphia. Yeah. Who cares?
They're sixth, that's hard to say, 6th in the Metro Division right now.
So they probably won't even make the playoffs again.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, what are we? We're 3rd in Atlantic. We've held that. We're good. We're doing great.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Bless you.
But that gives us, excuse me, dear Lord, that brings us to 4 back-to-back wins.
Yeah, and we play tomorrow. Beginning of their roadie.
5 games across 9 days.
All the way. Got the late nights coming up here.
Yep, we start with the Jets tomorrow.
Good game. I'm excited for that game, actually.
I think that'll be good.
Which, shout out to Shan. Shan is in Winnipeg.
I thought you said Jan, and I was like, why are you shouting out Jan?
Oh, no.
We love Shan.
Yeah, we love Shan.
Shan is with Bobby right now.
Right. So they're going to have a time tomorrow. So that should be good. But I'm excited for that game, only because I think it'll be tight, I think.
Yeah. Let's go Monty and Zacho really quick, and then we'll chat about the next 9 days.
Yeah.
So we were asked on Twitter, and I was like, let's talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
If we think that Monty was really like what was causing the Bruins to lose, we are 7-2 in the Sacco era.
Yep.
Monty with St. Louis is 4-1-1.
Yeah.
Do we think Monty was the reason? And I'll let you go first because I have a very specific opinion on this.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to go first. You want me to? I can give you time to think.
I'll go first, only because I have obviously been thinking about it because I am a huge fan of Jim. I've met him now. Even before I met him, I just really like Jim. I don't know. There's something about the way he carries himself, his honesty. I just really care for the guy, I guess. And he clearly did very well for us in his time here. However, the playoff performances were disappointing. And then what we saw this year up until he got fired was kind of the same energy and the same problems as our playoff problems. So I don't want to blame everything on him at all.
Yeah.
However, I do think when it comes to that point, you have to make a change at some point. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, he happened to be the change, which I think maybe what the case was, he was just so using recycled stuff that they just couldn't buy into that anymore.
Mhm.
Which, again, is not really, it's kind of everyone's fault a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was his fault, but at the same time, the coaching change was necessary and clearly has done us well so far. I'm not trying to expect anything insane, but thankfully they just look like they want to play hockey again. They look like they know what they're doing. They, they want to be on the team. They want to win. The comeback wins that we've had recently are, in my opinion, in my own words, old Bruins, in the sense that when we were behind, like a couple years ago, if you would have said, oh, we're behind, we're going into the third or whatever, I'd say, okay, and we're going to come back and we're going to win. Like,
Yes.
So, and then this year it was like, oh, we're up 4-0. How are we still going to lose? So
Yes.
I'm just happy to see them winning again. So it's definitely tricky. Sometimes I think it's obvious for teams. This time, no, and maybe again, I'm just like blinded a little because I like Monty as a person so much. But I think it was just an unfortunate scenario that had to happen.
Yeah. I am in the same boat. I think it's not necessarily Monty himself.
Yeah.
I think now that we have heard all these things about the contract disputes and all the roster moves and all of this stuff that we're seeing, I think that there had to have been a vibe that was happening that like maybe isn't necessarily Monty himself, but like was the situation around the contract disputes, and then you add this like these big roster changes that we hadn't had this many roster changes in a few years, or like these big name roster changes. I think this is like not necessarily Monty himself, but there you can tell from my opinion that the locker room vibe has shifted. Like they come out looking different. So I don't know that like Monty himself is the thing. But at the same time, I think any big change you make is going to ignite something in a team. We said this a few weeks ago. These guys lost Monty his job.
Yeah.
They have acknowledged that they cost him his job.
Yeah.
Whether it was his leadership or not that led them to do that, at the end of the day, these players still have to show up, still perform on the ice. That's what they're getting paid to do. It doesn't necessarily always like have to be that head coach. There's also a bunch of other there's like 6 other coaches with the team that do all these different parts. Like he wasn't in control of the power play and the penalty kill teams. So like we can't fully blame that on him. Like I think any coaching change that would have been made is going to spark something. So I don't know, like, was it Monty? I don't know. Was it a coaching change? Yes. Do I think it's because this coach is better? Not necessarily. I think no matter what, these guys realize they screwed up. They cost somebody their job. They need to get it together or it's going to keep happening.
Right. I agree. That's a great point, actually.
And they've admitted it in interviews that week, like, that they screwed up and they cost him his job. I think no matter what, no matter who the next coach that was coming in was going to be, this to some degree was going to be what happened. Like,
yeah.
I think that it is somebody that they already know, they already trust, that understands hockey the Bruins way, does definitely help. He's been around the organization for 11 years. He knows Boston hockey in and out. I think that helps. I don't know that necessarily he is the reason we're doing so well now. I think at the end of the day, what this all comes down to is the players.
A reality check, a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you see it with the people that are scoring. I think you see it with the penalty minutes have gone down significantly. I think our second power play unit, with our second power play unit, they have stepped up. I think our first power play unit hasn't changed. Therefore, nothing has happened. I think our second power play unit was the one that we've kind of swapped a little bit, and you see a lot of movement with that second power play unit.
And you know who's on that unit?
Trent Frederick. But so I don't necessarily think it was Monty, but I think knowing what we know now, I think there was a lot of discourse happening around him. So it was potentially just like potentially a little bit of a rumor mill, and then everybody kind of got like a vibe. And you have, I think now that we've heard different things, you potentially had him and Sweeney disagreeing on things. Which perhaps. People can feel that in a room. And when you spend as much time together as these guys do, that probably had an effect on people.
Yeah, it's true.
You spend 7 months of your life together almost every single day.
Almost daily. That's crazy.
So yeah, if there was an issue, they would have all felt it.
Yeah. Mic drop.
But I mean, he's 4-1-1 with St. Louis. So
he knows his stuff.
That's good.
You know, like we knew, I feel like that he was going to be successful wherever he ended up, just because he knows his stuff. I think especially he is good with a new group right away, like jumping right into something. So I don't know. I'm happy for him, though. I am happy for him to have some success. Because St. Louis, it's a questionable. My mom and I are always like, watch them win the cup this year, and I'm like, don't, don't put it out there. But
I'm glad he's doing well. I'm glad we're doing well. I mean, we're 7-2 in the Sacco era, so Stanley Cup.
I just want the best for everyone. For Jim personally, I want the best for us in the game. So
yeah, we're doing great. Go team.
So what do we think for this
go team?
Yeah,
we've got a huge road trip.
Yeah,
we start in Winnipeg tomorrow, 8:00.
I'm going.
And it only gets worse from there.
I think we're gonna win all of them again. That's just me on my high, but
Winnipeg, you said we'll win.
I think we're gonna win all of them. I think we're gonna win this whole road trip. Yep.
Can you imagine 9 back-to-back wins?
And what about it?
We start Winnipeg tomorrow at 8:00. They travel to Seattle. The one thing I do like about this is they have an off day between each game. It does not happen on extended rips. So I am excited for that. On Thursday, we play Seattle. That one will be at 10.
The 10s are tough.
We go to Vancouver on the 14th. That one is at 10. Calgary. Calgary on the 17th. Then at 9, and Edmonton on the 19th. And that is at 9. They'll probably come home on the 20th. So that'll probably be a rest day. And then we play the Sabres at home on the 21st. And then we play on the 23rd at home against the Capitals. And then we get Christmas break.
I am excited for the Edmonton game just because, I don't know, Edmonton is such like an interesting team to me for some reason. Not even because of McDavid, because I am indifferent.
Austin is obsessed with them.
I have a good friend on Twitter that the way that like Trent and I are is the same way that her and Zach Hyman are, where they're just like buddies at this point.
Yes.
So I really like them just for her. So
yeah.
But
I love it. I think I think Winnipeg hasn't been doing great, so I think we'll win that one. Kraken, I think we'll be fine. Vancouver, I think, is going to be a big game just because of the way the last game went. I think they're going to be out for redemption.
Yeah.
I hope we win that one.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost to Vancouver again. Out of all those games, I wouldn't be like shocked.
Yeah. The Flames.
Who knows? We should win it, but then that means we probably won't.
They're 13-10-5 though.
Okay. So
I think I'll say yes to them, but no to the Oilers. Oilers are 15-10-2. I think the only games we potentially lose are Vancouver and Edmonton.
Yeah, I'm going to go on that too, actually.
Vancouver, I hope we win them all. Give me 9 back-to-backs.
Yeah, right?
We are going to manifest this right now. We are going to use our Chirping on Causeway magic. Give us a Freddie hat trick. Give us a Marshy hat trick. And give us 9 back-to-backs.
The Marshy hat trick is much more realistic. Sorry, Trent, but
I mean, not really, because he is so all over the place.
He wants one real bad, though.
Brad, if you ever see this, I love you. I'm so sorry. You're my favorite player. I don't mean to talk badly about you.
Me, on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, Trent sucked up until recently. I'm kidding. That's so mean. I literally saw him today.
You should have told him that we have a podcast.
Queen, he's probably
I already know what I'm getting. I'm sending you a Christmas present.
No.
But we have to tell the people about it. But we'll tell the people here in a second because then you'll know what it is. Okay. But then you could have handed him one. It's gonna be so funny.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about already?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, cool. You do. But yeah, I think it's going to be a long road trip. They left today. They don't get back until the last game is the 19th. I assume they'll come back on the 20th just because. I think
so. In the morning. I think they'll just come home.
Yeah. That's a 10-day stint.
It's a long time away from family. It's a long time away from family and all that jazz.
Let's just talk about all the kiddos that were at the matinee game really quick.
They called them the Bruin Cubs, and I was like, oh my gosh. Thank
you, Nesson, for always giving us the babies.
I love the little kids. I just like, that sentence sounds terrible, but I
little kids.
I just think it's so special especially when it's a matinee. And they can come like fully awake and like fully raring to go.
There's like 6 babies lined up. What is in the water?
Yeah, what is in the water? There were a lot of babies, but I think it's so awesome, especially for these guys. Sometimes they're, they can't see their kids as much. Mm-hmm. Only kids, their schedules are insane. So I think it's really extra cute when they can come and have that little like warm-ups moment with their little kids. Yeah. So sweet. Yeah.
What else you got for this week, Liv? Anything?
I still think that Trent is going to get a hat trick before January.
Let's try this again. Let's
try it again.
No. I mean, in your defense, you said before the end of the year.
I did second. I followed up with. So I'm going to stand by that.
We still have it clipped just in case. Like while the game was happening last Saturday, I was like, Liv, find that clip.
Yeah. As a long-term Trent fan, I didn't think he was going to get one. Not because I don't think he can get one, but there's just been so many games where he just gets 2. And there's been so many games where so many of these guys get 2. And I'm like, do you guys not want the Hattie? I know.
Like, all of you.
It's crazy. But I do think he's going to get one before the end of the year, if not this season as a whole. But I do think it's going to happen before January. So
let's go.
Maybe
you'll get that stick too.
Oh no, don't say that. I would die. I'd be like, please don't keep it. Please. I can't.
Trent, if you ever see this.
Trent, if you're watching right now, sorry. I don't know. Probably a lot. I don't know.
Oh my god, if any of them ever saw this.
I
never
actually
mind.
let me
I'm
shout
sorry.
out. I am in his family actually has a roofing company. Their motto is for a hole in your roof or a whole new roof.
There
Call
you
for
go.
roofing.
That's funny. Sponsor us.
Very comfy. Yeah, imagine we're
Hashtag not an ad.
Yeah, hashtag definitely not an ad, but go get their stuff because
Yeah.
they sell long sleeves, short sleeves, jackets, sweatshirts, hats, and go help out the Frederick fam.
Yeah.
Not
Not us. We have t-shirts and sweatshirts.
Yeah. Go get ours actually too. Before you get the Frederick stuff, get ours.
Sweatshirts just got released today, friends. So feel free to go grab one of those. BSEN617.square.site. Get a shirt or a sweatshirt.
Yep.
Give the people a reminder of where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Frederick, or if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Liv May. LIV.
She's giving out her Instagram, peeps.
You know what? I figured I might as well, but it's just not the same as my Twitter, obviously. So liv.may on Instagram, MAE for May. You can find me on there if you want. Only if you want.
If you want.
Yeah.
You can find me at HyperEmi, wherever your little heart desires. Twitter will be invasive or intrusive hockey thoughts.
Yeah.
Everything else, I talk about a lot of books. You guys, I talked a little bit about last week about this author that I'm doing a beta read for because she wants to make sure her book is hockey accurate. I just got it over the weekend. Haven't started it yet. We'll keep everybody updated. Also found out that she's a member of my sorority. So that's really cool. But
Small
you
world.
can follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Causeway Chirps, and you can find Boston Sports Entertainment Network at BSEN_617. I also posted on Twitter today all of the other podcasts that BSEN has. So we have 1 Celtics, 1 Red Sox, and 2 Patriots podcasts. So definitely go check out all the friends too.
Down there.
Yeah. Underlit.
Yeah.
Anything else this week, my friend?
No.
Cool.
Just go Trent Frederick.
Go Trent Frederick. We will be back next Monday.
Yeah. Probably same time, most likely.
Yeah. Probably same place.
Yeah. I'll definitely be here.
Yeah. Hey.
And
cool.
Hit us up on Twitter if you want anything specific.
Oh, I forgot to talk about the trading cards. Just kidding. Pause.
Pause. Time out.
I was like, close out. We have trading cards, guys. Go look at our Twitter and our Instagram. I made trading cards for Liv and I. I think they're really cute and really funny. When we have guests in the future, they'll get their own little trading card. But Liv, I'm like, I should have gotten you trading cards before this because then you could have given one to him and he could have checked out our podcast.
Oh
my! I'm gonna send Liv 25 little trading cards.
Yeah. You know what? Next practice I go to, I'll be like, get over here, pass them to the guys. I'll give them 10. Be like, pass them out, stick them in their stalls in the locker room.
That's so funny. I would die.
Right?
That'd be great. But yes, go check out our trading cards on our Instagram. That was where I was going with that earlier.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're closing it out.
Now for real.
Bye.
What happens after a Boston Bruin win as Jeremy Swayman and Lena Zolmark have their trademark celebration.